Hi everyone, David here from the PPC Machine. Now, did you know that B2B marketers that use blogs receive 67% more leads than those that don't? So it doesn't matter whether you're a mortgage broker or IFA who's selling to consumers, or a B2B company selling services to other businesses. If you want your website to be a source of leads and inquiries for your business, then it needs to have a blog. So in this video, I'm going to explain what a blog is and give you some of my top tips for how to write blog posts that are going to generate leads for your business. So let's start with what is a blog. So a blog, it's actually short for weblog, is a regularly updated website containing a number of individual articles, and these are known as posts. And each post has a date stamp, and the posts are usually displayed in a list, with the most recent one being at the top. A blog can be a standalone website, or it can be a section within your company's website alongside the rest of the content. Blog posts are often used to provide topical information related to current events or to publish reactions to developments within your industry. For example, if the government announced changes to the rules around stamp duty, an estate agent or a mortgage broker might write a blog post summarising those changes and giving his or her thoughts on whether this was a good or bad thing for the housing market. Blog posts like this can be thought of as the equivalent of an opinion piece in a daily newspaper. Blogs can also be used to provide information which is less of the moment and which is likely to be relevant for quite a while to come, so-called evergreen content. An example might be a blog post about how to obtain a copy of your credit report before applying for a mortgage. As I said earlier, a good blog is essential if you want your website to generate leads for your mortgage or IFA business. And there are three main reasons why you're going to get more leads if you have a blog. The first is about value. A well-written blog is a fantastic way to demonstrate your expertise and to provide value to your potential clients. And even before the invention of blogs, people have realised the business benefits of providing free advice and valuable content to their prospective clients. I often tell the story of how back in the 1990s I used to read a magazine for IT consultants which had a column where a lawyer would give out free legal advice and answer questions sent in by readers. Some years later I needed some contracts drafted and I chose this same lawyer to do the work, even though I'd never met him, simply because of the value I'd gained from his free content in the magazine over all those years. And now, 20 odd years later, this same marketing strategy still works, but nowadays, of course, it's done through the medium of blogs rather than printed magazines. The second is that blogs are shareable. So if you take a look at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or any of the other social networks, you'll find that a lot of the things that appear in your news feed are actually blog posts that have been shared, either by the original author or by someone else who has read the blog and found it to be share-worthy. So the more content you produce and the more useful it is, the more likely it is that people will share your blog content via social media. And this is free word-of-mouth advertising for your business. The third reason why blogs are great is because they help SEO. And they do this in a number of ways. There's a number of ways that a blog can help you improve your search engine optimization. The first is Google loves sites which are regularly updated with useful and relevant content. And a blog makes a great platform for hosting that kind of content. And if your visitors find your blog content interesting and engaging, then they're going to stay on your site for longer. And that's something else which helps SEO. If you've got good quality content on your blog, you're also more likely to get people linking from their website to yours. This helps Google see your site as an authoritative source, which again is a big tick in the box when it comes to SEO. And the better your site's SEO is overall, the higher up it's going to appear for relevant searches on Google. Higher rankings generally mean more traffic, and that in turn means your website is likely to generate you more leads. So before we look at what sort of things you can write about in your blog, let's first of all talk about a couple of things which do not make for good blog content. So have you, for example, just taken on a new member of staff or opened a new office? Whilst these are probably very exciting developments for you and for your staff, it's unlikely that your website visitors are going to care very much. So keep that kind of news for your company's internal intranet and use your blog for content which will be truly interesting and valuable for your potential clients. Special offers and promotions are useful marketing tools for some businesses, but if your blog contains lots of posts where all you're doing is announcing your latest discount, it can start to look a bit salesy and can also cheapen your offering. Some people argue that you should not offer discounts and seasonal offers at all. Now, I think they are sometimes a good idea, but your blog really is not the best place to promote them. Posts that exist purely to promote your services are also not a good idea. For example, if an IFA wrote a blog post listing 5 things that were good about their pension planning service, that wouldn't make very interesting reading. That's the kind of content that belongs on the main sales pages of your website instead. For a blog post, you need a more subtle approach. For example, a post which talks about the different types of pensions that are available and which ends with a call to action, inviting the reader to get in touch for some personalised advice on which of those types of pensions is the best one for them. Before you start writing content for your blog, it's important to have a really clear idea of who your audience is and what sort of person you're writing for. This will make it easier to write your blog posts, and it will help ensure that the content you're putting out is actually going to be useful and relevant. So take a moment to think about your ideal client. Ask yourself questions such as, who are they? What sort of help or advice are they looking for? What kind of job have they got? What problems or challenges do they have? How do my services help them solve their problems? You can learn more about this process by taking a look at my article about defining customer personas, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. So now that we've established how important blogs are and we've covered some of the topics you should avoid blogging about, it's time to give you some ideas as to the kind of thing that you can include in a successful blog. So if you've followed the advice from that article I just mentioned, you should have a good idea about your customer persona or your customer avatar and who it is that you're writing for. And hopefully you've come up with a few of the common questions that your customer persona will typically ask in relation to the services that you provide. These questions are going to be the inspiration for a lot of your blog posts, so it's worth spending time to compile a good sized list of them. If you're stuck for ideas, a useful free tool you could use is one called Answer the Public. And this lets you simply enter one of your keywords, for example pensions, and it will show you all the different types of questions people are asking about that topic. And then by writing how-to style blog posts that answer some of these questions, you can be pretty confident that your articles are actually going to be interesting, useful and relevant to the type of people that you want to have as clients of your business. Then there's the so-called X Tips for Y article. This is a very popular format for blog posts and one which works really well. You replace the X with a number, odd numbers tend to work best for some reason, and you replace the Y with one of the problems that your ideal customer is likely to be trying to solve. So here are some examples. 5 tips to maximise your retirement income. 7 ways to reduce your home insurance premiums. 9 tips for paying off your mortgage early. They all follow the X Tips for Y format. And the beauty of this type of blog post is that it gives you a nice simple structure to follow when you're writing it, and each tip will only usually require 1 or 2 paragraphs of text. Then there's the X mistakes to avoid when doing Y article, and this is a similar concept to the X Tips for Y format, but this time the title taps into the reader's fear of getting things wrong. So again, here are some examples. 3 mistakes to avoid when choosing a mortgage. 7 reasons your pension isn't performing as well as it could be. 5 traps to avoid when buying a new build house. Again, the beauty of these type of blog posts is that they provide a very simple structure for you to work with. Sometimes you can get a decent amount of engagement and a good number of social shares of your posts by basing your blog post around something amusing that tends to happen in your industry. For example, if you run a meeting venue, you might decide to write a blog about some of the most annoying or cliched phrases that people use in business meetings. Or if you're an insurance broker, you might choose to write a blog that talks about some of the funniest or weirdest things that people have put on an insurance claim form. The majority of blog posts tend to be text-based, but it's still a good idea to include images and diagrams to break up the text and to illustrate specific points that you want to make. You should also bear in mind that people do tend to have short attention spans and that it is harder to read things on screen than it is on paper. So it's best to keep your sentences short and simple, and you should use short paragraphs, shorter than you would in a written essay or whatever, and break up your article with plenty of subheadings. As well as traditional articles, you can also have blog posts which are primarily made up of video content, and I'll put a link to an example of one of those in the description. If you get the chance, it's a really good idea to include original research in your blog posts, as this makes them more shareable. For example, one of the posts on my blog which gets a lot of traffic and which people like linking to is one which provides data from an actual experiment that I did into the effectiveness of 2 different types of online ad format. I'm often asked how often you should blog. It's a really common question and there's no perfect answer to it. In an ideal world, it would be great if you could publish a new blog post every single day. But realistically, for most small businesses, that's simply not an option. So the best piece of advice I can give is to say that you should aim to publish a new blog post at least twice a month, and above all, be consistent. So it's better to post once a month every month than it is to post every day for a week and then do nothing for the next 3 months. To help yourself establish a regular and consistent posting regime, I recommend you do 2 things. Firstly, create what's called a content calendar, where you plan out your upcoming blog content for the next 3 to 6 months. And secondly is to set aside half a day each week to focus on writing blog content and try to write at least 4 blog posts each time that you do that during that weekly slot. That way, even if you only publish 1 blog post per week, you're always going to have a reservoir of content to work from, and you'll find it much easier to maintain that all-important consistency, even at times when you might be really busy or find yourself faced with a bit of writer's block. It's always good to have a few spare blog posts in the bank. My final piece of advice is to always try to end your blog post with a call to action. So whenever you write a new blog, you should be asking yourself, what is it that you want the reader to do at the end of reading that article? Is your goal for them to book a phone consultation with you, or register for a webinar, or download a free ebook, or download a content upgrade that expands on the information in that blog post? Or is it something else? Whatever the goal is, you should have a clear call to action at the end of your blog, which encourages the reader to take that desired action. I hope you found this video useful and it's given you the confidence to start your own company blog, or given you some ideas for how to improve or resurrect your existing blog. And now for the calls to action. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post new content on YouTube. And if you would like to get some one-to-one advice about your own blog, I'd love to have a chat with you and give you some inspiration on what you could blog about. Just click the link in the description to book a free strategy call with me, and I'll be happy to give you some ideas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.